Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Ammar bin Salim. I welcome all of you to another podcast from LUMS. Today we are going to be talking about the PhD programs we are offering through Syed Babar Ali School of Science and Engineering. But being very specific, we're going to be focusing on the active researches being undertaken at the same school. For this discussion, I have been joined by the Dean himself, Dr. Sabieh Anwar. Dr. Sabieh, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, very well. How about you?
I'm fine as well.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Sabieh. I'm going to start with a very important question, Dr. Sabieh. Who is a PhD program offered through the Syed Babar Ali School of Science and Engineering for in terms of commitment, in terms of discipline, in terms of previous subject knowledge strength? Who is this program for?
So let me give you a very broad answer first.
Okay.
Our school's PhD program is for crazy people. So it's for people who would like to annihilate themselves for a few years as PhD students, who would like to forget about everything and just ride the wave of discovery.
All right.
Curiosity about nature, about our natural happenings. They would like to probe the unknown. They would like to walk on roads that haven't been traveled so far. And they would like to go out into the dark with their torch of curiosity and inquiry. And they have a deep sense of inventing something. The invention could be a new idea or a new gadget or a new product or a new framework, a new paradigm, a new software that can help the society. This is what the PhD program, who the PhD program is for. So we're really looking for a class of people who are passionate, who would like to take up challenges, who would like to go out into the dark and bring some light over there. So, of course, this requires a lot of commitment. Someone who can devote his or her 4, 5, 6 years.
6 years. Generally, we say a person should be completing their PhD program in 4 years.
Right. So, but there are some disciplines which require longer, especially if you are an experimentalist, you would like to work in the lab, you have to build things. So, some PhDs could be done in 3 years as well. So, it's a mix. But someone who can devote this number of years to academics, and someone who has a love to create knowledge. And creating knowledge not just means creating something that hasn't been created before, it also implies synthesis of knowledge, taking disparate branches of knowledge and connecting them together, weld them together in a seamless whole, in a seamless unity. So this is what our PhD program is all about. So it requires commitment for a number of years. It requires you to forget some other worries of life, and we would try to take care of those worries somehow. The PhD program is free as well, so the tuition fee is absolutely zero. Students get a scholarship, they get other amenities.
The programs are fully funded.
All the programs are fully funded, so you don't have to worry about that. So in short, the PhD program is for the people who would like to be different. We don't make them superior to others, but we would rather create a unique class of thinkers, doers, inventors, and discoverers who, through their knowledge creation, can help Pakistan, the region, and the world at large.
In your experience, has it been easy for you to look for, to get those people who fulfill the criteria?
I would say it's hard. It's hard to find passionate, driven students. It's easier to get students into our undergraduate program, and even our MS program, it's far, far harder to find the right kind of holistically minded individuals who would like to take up a PhD. So that's why we are now expanding our reach. This podcast, I think, is one of those initiatives that will help us take our message to a bigger audience. We're also going international.
Right.
So it's hard to find that kind of individual who fits our criteria. Definitely so.
I get that. I totally get that, Dr. Sabieh. Dr. Sabieh, when we're talking about the program, before we discover more in detail the research that's being actively undertaken at the school, what are some of those subjects in which PhD program is being offered?
The PhD program is being across offered across all our departments. So this is physics, chemistry, biology, electrical engineering, mathematics, computer science, and chemical and environmental engineering. So these are the 7 disciplines in which we currently offer our PhD.
7 disciplines. All right. And if we talk about some of the major cutting edge researches, breakthrough researches that have been happening at the School of Science and Engineering, are there a couple in your mind that you would want to talk about in detail?
So uh, we have about 85 to 90 faculty members. Each faculty member is supervising some research project. Each faculty member has PhD students. So these are about 70 or 80 research projects that are going on.
Actively going on at one point.
At one point.
time.
So
Wow.
currently we have 150 PhD students in our school. So each PhD student has a story to tell. That story
Absolutely correct.
is a story in research, story in discovery, a story of challenges, tumults, turmoils, some jubilations. So every PhD research story is an odyssey in its own right, especially when you do it in Pakistan. So the research ranges from very basic, fundamental blue sky research, such as cosmology, how did this universe begin, what is the structure of space time, what happens close to a black hole. So these are questions that are really exotic, that will just satiate the thirst to know about our very ancient past, our primordial beginnings. And that's what a physicist or a cosmologist would do. So there would be a PhD student working on this area. On the other extreme, you would have students working on very applied problems that have something to do with our ground realities. For example, how do we solve Pakistan's energy crisis? If we were to take electricity off grid to a remote village in the inner heart, say, of Africa, and we do not have access to the whole grid. So how do we build a small grid which is not connected to the main grid, something that is a local solution that utilizes renewable energy sources, including solar energy? How do we manage the load? How do we distribute the load in a small remote village? So this is a kind of a problem called off-grid electrification, and this could form a very rosy topic for PhD research, and that's what some of our faculty is currently looking at. Another student might look at the structure of a vaccine.
Okay.
We all know about the unfortunate things that happened a couple of years ago with COVID.
We've just gone through them. Yes.
So just imagine, what does the COVID virus look like? Or what does another virus that causes a disease look like? So this requires a good understanding of statistical mechanics. What is the crystal structure of a vaccine? How does it interact with drugs? What is the geometry of a vaccine look like so that a drug can attack the vaccine? In order to look at the geometry of the drug, you need to have certain tools such as electron microscopes, X-ray crystallography to unravel the structure of the vaccine. Then you need to interpret data, and then you would like to come up with a vaccine that can target the virus. So this could be another research project, and all of this is happening in SSE. So it's a great variety of projects ranging from artificial intelligence, energy, environment, quantum technologies, power electronics, microwaves, genetics, molecular biology. All of this is happening at one go in SSE. And since we are a research school and now we are beginning to look more like a research university as well, so this research always emanates from a PhD program. Undergraduates can do research and they do commit themselves to research, but since some of the groundbreaking research, which is deep, which is long lasting, requires time. So, and a PhD student can devote this amount of time, this much energy. So that's why the PhD program is really important and very dear to us.
What I understand is that PhD programs generally across the globe are quite expensive. and they require a lot of resources, especially when you're conducting research in the discipline of science. So how equipped would you say LUMS is in terms of providing resources to its PhD scholars so that they could be researching at the same level as any international candidate at a nice university, at a very well-equipped university would be researching?
So I would like to give two kinds of answers. One is that there are some kinds of PhD research that are not very resource intensive. For example, consider mathematics, algebra, topology, combinatorics, pure mathematics. So these could be areas where you just need a fertile human mind and passionate students
All right.
and a committed faculty member who could conduct and lead this kind of research.
Okay.
Maybe some computing facilities. So that's one extreme. The other extreme, as I mentioned, the structural biology thing, the vaccine discovery thing, just giving that as an example, this requires an expensive NMR spectrometer, a nuclear magnetic resonance spectrometer. The NMR itself is a kind of an MRI machine. Okay. So you have to operate it, and it's extremely cold. The interior of this machine is extremely cold. It's just about 3 degrees above absolute zero, which is about minus 270 degrees centigrade.
Wow.
So you have to keep this machine this much cold. This requires a cryogen called liquid helium. So you need to get that helium, and then you need to have trained manpower who can operate this machine. Okay. So it's a very expensive business. So this entire spectrum is there in science and technology research. So Alhamdulillah, if I look at the region and I look at Pakistan, we might not be as well equipped as the best American universities in the world, or even in Europe, or even in the region. But whatever resources we've built them straw by straw, bit by bit, right, and with extreme prudence. So we have smart laboratories that are fully functional. We provide them with 24-hour electricity. Some places are provided with 24-hour ventilation and air conditioning, which may not be a big deal for the international audience, but for Pakistan,
certainly is a big deal in Pakistan, especially in the backdrop of the current energy crisis.
So, and then there are technicians and staff who take care of equipment. We have plant rooms in which plants are grown, which require a special humidity and temperature level. So, depending upon our needs and the interests of our faculty and the experiences that they bring, we build these smart, small, local ecosystems that can enable their research. So, Alhamdulillah, LUMS is pretty generous when compared to other institutions in providing recurring expenses, operational expenses for all of these equipment. And our faculty are extremely active in writing grants. Right. So 3/4 of the grants that are brought into this university are from science, technology, and innovation. So they are from our school, really, really competitive national and international grants. So those grants bring in money that help us
sustain the programs. Exactly. Absolutely. Now, Sabieh, when we talk about these programs, we understand that now we're going to be seeking applications from international applicants too. The programs are open, and that would also mean that whatever we will be publishing or our scholars would be publishing, they would be getting published in certain journals. So I would request if you could elaborate on the quality of those journals. What about the acceptability of whatever is being produced at LUMS? Is it being accepted as is across the globe? In terms of research, of course.
So our research goes into the same journals as someone sitting in Stanford, Caltech, right, MIT, Princeton, Oxford, Cambridge, the places where we were trained from.
We also from Oxford University, yeah.
We also like to go into the journals that we aspire for over there, the same journals we publish from here. So I think we're still not publishing in Science, Nature, or the Cell, which are the world's leading journals, but one day we'll get there. If not us, our students will get us there, or our students will go there. But I think we are globally and regionally competitive with the amount of resources that we input into our system. We are a small-sized school. Some of the schools that I mentioned earlier, they are really big schools, and when you don't have the critical sizes of faculty, it really gets difficult to be competitive on the really cutting edge scale. But with the resources that we have, I think we have outstripped what was expected of us. So we're really getting there. We publish in the best journals in any field. Our work is also published in the best conferences. Our faculty and our students get invitations from the world's leading conferences to present and share their work. So all of this is happening. And of course, such an endeavor requires time. We've been here for about 10 years only, just 1 decade. 1 decade is not a long enough time to really compete with the world's very best, but the world's very best looks up to us. They collaborate with us, they partner with us, which really is a great proof that we have made some difference.
Whatever you have achieved in the past decade is commendable. It's absolutely remarkable. And my question was about the point that you talked about, that during their PhD program, students, as you mentioned, come across opportunities to travel abroad and to present their researches. So how often does that happen for a student in a student's life?
So we commit to our students that if they have to present their work in a leading international conference, we will fund one travel.
Okay.
So during the lifetime of their PhD, many students avail this opportunity.
And that could be anywhere.
Anywhere in the world. So they take up this opportunity in most cases. They travel. They travel for conferences, they travel for workshops, for schools, for trainings. Sometimes they are embedded in laboratories outside Pakistan. So they spend some time outside Pakistan, in Europe, North America, or the Far East. So generally once in their lifetime, students get a chance to go abroad on our funding, and we fund them as well.
On the university's funding. But in addition to, as you mentioned, that the program is completely funded, I think there's a stipend attached to the program as well, that is to the tune of 60,000 rupees per month. And so are there other funding opportunities available or become available throughout the PhD 4-year, 5-year program?
Right. So just now we've launched our program. Last year we launched it for international students as well. International students would also be entitled for one round trip economy class airfare during the duration of the PhD.
Right.
And we're just entering, I do not want to leak the details because we're not allowed to do so, but we're entering into an agreement with one of the world's largest educational organizations, and they would also commit to funds for international students. So that's one source of funding. The other source of funding is another award that we have for our PhD scholars who excel in different fields, and that's called the Syed Babar Research Award, which is awarded every year to 3, 4, or 5 students based upon the potential and impact of their PhD work. So these are additional funding sources. If a faculty member gets an extramural grant, the student might receive additional funding on top of the 60,000 that we promise as a university. So multiple funding opportunities are available. Some students get involved in TA-ships, research assistantships. They get some engagement with external consultancy grants as well. So all of this is happening, and all of these opportunities are available and open to our PhD students.
Plus, I think what makes the program more feasible for international students would be that they could also live on campus as well. They wouldn't have to go and work on their housing problems. Of course, they wouldn't have to go outside the campus as well either. So, Dr. Sabieh, there's this misconception. I don't know if it's a misconception or not. You could, of course, elaborate on that. But people generally in the society think that if you graduate with a PhD program, the employment opportunities that one is left with would either be in the teaching or would be research or lab related. Is that true? And if it is, to what extent?
Well, first of all, I don't want to belittle the role of teaching and lab work and research work, even though this is not the case. These students are only entitled and eligible for academic roles in a school, college, or university, or a laboratory. But still, I think this is a valuable enterprise and a valuable endeavor in its own right. Because in a laboratory, you're creating knowledge. If you're teaching in a university, you are shaping the minds of students.
Who will be working in those laboratories then?
Would be working in those laboratories, and many of them will then go on to invent, to engage in disciplines that create wealth, which are called industry, entrepreneurship. So, PhD student is the highest level of achievement in thinking formally that one could achieve. So, a PhD enables you to create knowledge. A PhD enables you to become independent. A PhD enables you to mentor others. Now, imagine that you walk off with a PhD and are equipped with these skills and with these accolades and these badges on your shoulder that you have now the right to mentor others, to guide others. Isn't this a big enough award and achievement? I think that's what a PhD is really capable of doing. He can transform others. It's very hard for an undergraduate, unless he or she is a born leader, to inspire others. But a PhD student is equipped with the knowledge discipline, with the content knowledge to help others transform their lives. So that's what a PhD student is enabled to do. However, after a PhD, you could also go into the industry. There are many industries now that require a deeper sense of working knowledge of a body of knowledge. So if you go into the artificial intelligence industry, one thing is programming and computer coding, but what if you would like to design a new algorithm? You need to have those skills, and generally a PhD equips you with this trait, with this characteristic. If you want to work in the pharmaceutical industry and not just churn out drugs, but you want to invent a new drug, you would need knowledge of biochemistry, of organic chemistry, of medicinal chemistry, and so on. If you want to design a new circuit that works on the femtosecond or picosecond time scale and detects ultra fast events that happen in a computer, you would need some skills in circuit design, ultra fast electronics. Generally, an undergraduate degree doesn't teach you that. The undergraduate degree gives you the breadth, and the PhD degree, in most cases, gives you the depth. So you can go deeper, you can design things, and help others design things.
Dr. Sabieh, moving towards the ending of the program today, I would request if you could elaborate on the admission criteria. We understand that in order to apply to the PhD program, one needs to have 18 years of university education, and then there are some exams that they will have to sit for. I think one is LGAT, LUMS Graduate Aptitude Test, and the other is the SBASSE subject test. And then you will have to submit your research proposal as well. And if I understand it correctly, there's also a portion for interview performance. So, of all the criteria, of all of these elements, which one is the one that makes or breaks the deal for a student?
I think you said it all already.
No, but what is the one? I always ask that question.
So, Amar, the subject test and the prior academic performance of the student forms material that is good enough for screening the candidate.
Okay.
But once the candidate has been screened, he or she is called for an interview, because the PhD is really about matchmaking. So a student has to be matched to a supervisor. Right. It's not just, you're not just entering an institution, you're entering into the close tutelage of a mentor as well. So it's like a mentor-mentee relationship. You're signing off on a, just forgive me for that, on a spiritual bond, on an intellectual bond between a teacher and a student, between a mentor and a mentee, who would walk you through all the travails of research. So this match has to be made. And in order for this match has to be made, the kind of interview process is very intimate, is very, very one-on-one.
Okay.
So the candidate is asked to give a presentation on prior work. Sometimes he's asked to provide a synopsis or an idea that he or she would like to work on. And the supervisor has to be interested about it, this idea as well. So if there is an inclination or there is overlap of interests, then this match is made and the student is then brought into the system. So suppose a student wants to do something really crazy. He wants to work on fission, nuclear fission. Might be a splendid idea, but it's possible that the match isn't here because no one in our faculty works on nuclear fission. Right. So this match has to be made, and this match is determined at the level of the interview. Okay. I think that is where the real difference happens. Okay. The interview, the research presentation. the faculty gets together and probes the student, of course, in a friendly manner. It's not intimidating. But this kind of interview really is critical. So the prior tests, they form a screening criterion there, but this is where the real decision is made.
Dr. Sabieh, is it also possible that somebody who, of course, completing and satisfying the minimum eligibility criteria, but does not have a stellar performance in the past, but still graduates to a point where they come and sit with the interviewers, and would it still be possible for them to get into the program if they don't have a stellar academic record in the past?
Well, that depends upon how the prospective supervisor views prior stellar performance. So,
all right.
I personally believe that many of our students could be late bloomers. Late bloomers means that someone wants to do chemistry perhaps, but wasn't able to do chemistry because the societal pressures wanted him or her to do medicine or something else. But his passion lies in chemistry. And his grades don't tell his inner passion. That's possible. So when you offer admission to a student, generally you have to rise above and transcend grades and prior stellar performance. And one thing that our faculty is really capable of is finding hidden gems.
I'm sure of that.
We call it Johar Shanasi. Look at something that is hidden.
Okay.
So stellar performance might become an advantage, but it's not the only thing that can get you through. However, unfortunately, we are under the kind of fetters of Higher Education Commission as well. They don't many a times realize all of this. So they say that you need to have a minimum GPA to be eligible for a PhD program.
And that is 3, if I'm not wrong.
3. We generally don't believe in that, but sometimes we have to stick to what they say. But the good thing about our PhD program is the following. And if I had access to this PhD program when I did my undergraduate degree in electrical engineering, I would have availed this, because with an electrical engineering degree, 15 years, when did I do my electrical engineering? 22 years ago. 22 years ago, when I completed my electrical engineering, I couldn't get into any physics program in the country, because physics programs require physics degrees. Engineering programs requires engineering degrees. But now there is it's a revolution in our country that students who've done their engineering now are getting into basic sciences. So our program is flexible and accommodating and gracious enough to accept students from across the board. If you satisfy our admission criteria, are able to do our test, sometimes you are autodidact. Autodidact. You learn on your own. So if you're able to do that, so if an economist wants to get into our computer science program, why not?
That's possible?
That is indeed possible. Okay. So that's one of the unique characteristics of our PhD program, and we love this.
This is spectacular. You're motivating me to pursue a program at the School of Science and Engineering.
Come on.
I think I'll be exploring what the school has to offer in terms of computer science program then. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sabieh, for joining me for this program today. I think the people who will be listening to this discussion will have a better idea of what different research is being carried out at the School of Science and Engineering at LUMS, and what can LUMS do in terms of helping them financially and otherwise as well. Well, thank you very much for being a part of this discussion. If you're considering to apply to any of our PhD programs offered through the Syed Babar Ali School of Science and Engineering at LUMS, please make sure we're getting your application latest by 11th April if you're a Pakistani student. If you're an international applicant, please ensure that we get your application latest by middle of March. And if there's anything that we can help you with, any query with regards to admissions, with regards to your visa processing, with regards to the program, please write to us at admissions@lums.edu.pk, and we'll be connecting with you very, very soon. Take care of yourselves.